Kilmarnock looked to be down and out at New Douglas Park when Hamilton went 2 goals in front. Killie stormed back to grab a share of the points. A mistake by Kilmarnock's Jamie Hamill almost handed Accies the lead. Marco Paixão in behind him. He tried to set up Nigel Hasselbank. Momo Sissoko got there first. He did well to scoop that away. It could so easily have been an own goal. Jim Goodwin turned in an outstanding performance, and it was the Hamilton midfielder who created the opening goal after 15 minutes, chipping the ball over the Kilmarnock defence for Flavio Paixão to head past keeper Cammy Bell. No one tracked the run from the Portuguese striker. Killie were caught out badly. Hamilton increased their advantage 7 minutes before half-time. Again, Goodwin started things off, but this time the goal was all about the enterprise of 19-year-old Hasselbank and a gaping hole in the Kilmarnock defence. Through he went to beat Bell for 2-0. Jimmy Floyd's nephew with his first goal in Scottish football. Individual brilliance from him. Surrounded by yellow shirts, he somehow managed to escape everyone's clutches and burrowed into the box for a memorable finish. Into the second half, and Accies threatening to further extend their lead. Advantage played after that foul on Marco Paixão, and twin brother Flavio had to go for his second goal and Hamilton's third. Bell made the save, and the home team had to hope a 2-goal lead would be enough. 7 minutes from time, Kilmarnock had their hopes lifted that they could salvage something. Rui Miguel's shot blocked and the ball fell for another substitute, Danny Invincible. He tumbled over Simon Mensing's outstretched leg. Penalty. It was a lunge Mensing didn't have to make. Hamill from the spot, and a breathtaking save from Hamilton keeper Thomas Cherney. The home celebrations, though, cut short by referee Crawford Allen's decision to have it retaken. He saw players encroaching into the penalty box prior to the spot kick being saved. So a second chance for Hamill to beat Cherney, which he took this time and breathed new life into Kilmarnock. Hamill's 5th goal of the season. Kilmarnock squared the game in the 89th minute. Again Invincible involved, racing away from David Buchanan and picking out Craig Bryson at the back post. The ball broke loose for Rui Miguel and his shot was diverted in by Connor Salmon. Major celebrations, as you'd expect, for an incredible comeback. Hamilton unable to hold on to their lead, Killie showing great character in coming back to rescue a point. Indeed, it could have been all three before they were finished. Bryson's cross found Hamill charging into the box and seeing his header come back off the base of the post and into Cherney's arms. A fraction away from winner for Kilmarnock, but they have to be happy with a point. Inverness seem to like travelling south. They've lost all 3 home games so far and taken 7 points out of 9 on the road. The latest 3 in Paisley. The first chance of the match against St Mirren fell to youngster Nick Ross, an early replacement for injured David Proctor. Skipper Richie Foran laid the ball back to him and his half-hit shot beat Paul Gallagher's dive and clipped the outside of the post. In the early stages, it was Callie Thistle who looked more likely to score. They eventually did 2 minutes into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Eric Odiambo played a 1-2 with Ross and managed to beat Gallagher and the diving McGregor for 1-0. Odiambo's 3rd goal of the season. Saints will reckon it was conceded far too cheaply. And they won't be too delighted about the second Inverness goal 5 minutes after the restart. Possession too easily given away, and Johnny Hayes ran at the St Mirren defence before playing in Odiambo for his 2nd of the match. A goal to enjoy for Terry Butcher's team. Hayes was the set-up man and released Odiambo at just the right time for a clinical finish. Saints were staring a 3rd straight defeat in the face now, having previously lost to Kilmarnock and St Johnstone. And Callie Thistle came close to scoring for a 3rd time. Foran's cross, Hayes attacked it at the far post and saw his header bounce off the upright. Hayes the supplier for goal number 2, almost the scorer of goal number 3. David Van Zanten had a chance to bring the game back to life for the home team. Paul McGowan and new signing Jamie McCluskey carved out the opportunity, and the Saints defender should have done a whole lot better than that. Good vision from the former Hibs midfielder to pick out Van Zanten, but not a difficult save. Danny Lennon's team needed something special to reawaken hopes of clambering back into the match, and something special was what they got 13 minutes from the end. McGowan on loan from Celtic with a glorious dipping volley to pull a goal back. It looks even better from this angle, but not enough to deny Inverness all 3 points. David Goodwillie scored the only goal of the game at Tannadice as Dundee United beat St Johnstone. Back at his former place of employment was Saints winger Jennison Myrie Williams. And it was he who posed an early threat to his old team, getting beyond Scott Severin to whip in a cross, punched away by United keeper Dusan Pernis, and Murray Davidson had a crack at goal. Off balance as he struck it, but an encouraging start for the Perth team on the back of their first win of the SPL season the previous weekend. Goodwillie's strike partnership with United skipper John Daly is always likely to produce chances. The young striker brushed aside Dave Mackay's challenge and was disappointed not to test out Saints keeper Peter Enkelman. A shot which was always on the rise. Goodwillie, though, was a lively presence throughout for United. Any defender who takes his eye off him for a split second is taking a big chance. Back to the Myrie Williams show at the other end. 4 of his former teammates had a go at stopping him here. None of them quite managed to completely deal with it. Nothing at the end of it for the St Johnstone winger, a cutback which nestled harmlessly in the side netting. And his claim for shirt tugging fell on deaf ears as well. A good run though from Myrie Williams, which caused a fair bit of consternation in the United defence. This was even more worrying for the Tannadice team. It would have been a free header for Davidson 6 yards out had teammate Michael Dewberry not got in his way. The Saints midfielder would surely have buried this second half chance had he not seen Dewberry's right boot flashing in front of his eyes. And they paid for that miss by conceding the only goal of the match from a corner at the other end after 61 minutes. It was all about dogged determination from Dundee United. They scored at the 4th attempt, and it was that man Goodwillie with the final touch, and added a touch of amateur dramatics in his celebration. Prince Boisben, Daly and Darren Dodds all had a go inside the penalty box before the chance presented itself for Goodwillie. His 3rd goal of the season, and he'll score a few more with his tendency to be in the right place at the right time, hurdling the Jody Morris challenge here to beat Enkelman. It was a match that provided further evidence that 2 yellow cards don't always add up to a red. Referee Brian Winter had a match he'd prefer to forget. That was given as a foul on goalscorer Goodwillie by St Johnstone defender Stephen Anderson. He was booked amid accusations that the United striker had taken a dive. It certainly looks as if he had a point. What can't be questioned, however, is the yellow card flashed in his direction. Saints came close to rescuing a point when second-half substitute Marcus Haber got himself on the end of Danny Granger's cross, and his header produced a top-class save from Pernis. Frustration for the on-loan West Brom striker, but he's not the first in the SPL and won't be the last to be denied by the Slovakian keeper. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Saints defender Anderson booked earlier on? No doubt about the foul on Goodwillie this time. Not much subtlety about that one. Free kick given and yellow card for Anderson, with Brian Winter clearly forgetting it was the player's 2nd caution of the match. Leading with his arm. Time for a quick consultation on the touchline with the other officials, and managers Peter Houston and Derek McInnes interested observers. Back into the pocket goes that yellow card, but no sign of a red one. And no one seemed more surprised at the card confusion than Anderson. The full weekend story: Aberdeen grabbed a 2-goal lead against Rangers. Nika Jelavic rounded off an amazing recovery with the winner. Scott Brown's first Celtic goal since March kept up their winning run, 2-1 winners against Hibs. Another away day success for Motherwell. John Sutton the scorer against Hearts at Tynecastle. One goal settled it at Tannadice. David Goodwillie for Dundee United. Hamilton, 2 up and cruising, had to make do with a point after a remarkable Kilmarnock comeback. And Cally Thistle are pointless in Inverness, but stayed unbeaten on the road. Here's your roundup of all the Clydesdale Bank Premier League results. 3-2 for Rangers at Aberdeen. Celtic beat Hibs 2-1. 1-0 for Dundee United against St Johnstone. Hamilton and Kilmarnock shared 4 goals. Motherwell beat Hearts 2-0 at Tynecastle. And Inverness were 2-1 winners at St Mirren. The Old Firm have 18 points out of 18. Rangers stay top on goals scored. Motherwell up to third on 10 points. Dundee United join Hearts on 8. Aberdeen, Inverness and Kilmarnock have 7. Hibs and Hamilton are on 5. 2 sets of Saints on 4. SPL Matchday 7 sees Hearts against Rangers on Saturday lunchtime, then Celtic at home to Hamilton, Inverness against Aberdeen, Kilmarnock Dundee United, Motherwell play St Mirren, and it's St Johnstone against Hibs. We'll round it all up for you next time.